Hello, people. Hello, good morning, good evening. Where are you? Where are you? We haven't started this spot for a while. Is it about 4 weeks now? The weather is usually rough around this time of the year. Ni baridi sana, baridi yenyewe ile kama na kuanga na mvua inanyenyeshwa, you know. Sasa leo tuko KE, mambo ya Kenya. I think we can have a good wrap up on this Kenyan story, because what I haven't shared was the part I left Maharishi University after 1 year. I did not return for my second year. And when I returned to Kenya, I came back on my own premise. There was no reason for me to be in Kenya anymore because my mom was very sick and she was on medication, she was on treatment. So I had made that decision that it wasn't worth paying those thousands of dollars at the time. We were paying about $2,000, $3,000. Around that much. Ilikuwa pesa mingi sana. So when I returned to Kenya, I remember it was September. Having gone to Kenya in September 94, one academic year ended in June because I came late. So when I went for the break, I came back in September, and with the decision to pay for myself. These are the things I always tell people. Me, I was like more or less on my own. Where am I taking you now? I'm taking you to when I began the photography services. I remember vividly, how did I come to know about the Institute of Shipping? I was in the bus. Munajua siku hizo za zamani iko. A lot of information was there was always a lot of information in the news print. So when I was returning back to Uganda, I had picked up Daily Nation and I think Standard newspaper as well. Then I went back with them. So I was going through them, I saw some adverts. Then I saw the advert for Institute of Shipping and Management. They were offering a lot of courses. And one of the courses that drew my attention was customs clearing and forwarding. So I'm in Uganda. I make the decision to come back to Kenya to study that course. It was something that I just did on the impulse. I had no money. I had no tuition fee. I remember my mom just gave me, I said to her, I'm going back to Kenya to study. How are you going to study? Who's going to pay for you? No. So I arrived in Kenya, 95 again. This time I'm on my own. So labda asubuhi nilienda kwa hiyo college. They were just opening up in the morning, Tomboya Street. And then the principal of the college, Mr. Ouma, I introduced myself to him, blah blah blah, nafata huko kosi ya kusoma. The way I came across, he was really very impressed with me. Alafu sina wakulala. So I didn't even have the tuition fees and I didn't have everything. I said, but I promised him that what? The money is coming from Uganda. Do you know I studied the first term more or less on bursary? On bursary, what was there for the institute? I made a very, very big impression on the institute. Labda hivi, a lot of students begin to apply our KE. I was very, very, very much together with the principal. So they take me to Pumwani Hostel that day because I had nowhere to sleep. I had no beddings. I had nothing. I'm in Kenya alone now. So I remember Pumwani Christian Boys Hostel, like the warden. Yeah, the warden was called John. Alikuwa mjamaa mzuri sana 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 sana. He gave me beddings, he gave me everything. And I remember him telling me, wewe utalipa pesa ukipata hizi pesa, but the principal had brought me there. So that's how I'm introduced in Kenya now. Vis-a-vis the first time I went to Kenya, when I went with my mom, everything was good, everything was like hands-on, you know these things. So, what comes after that? I begin life in Kenya. But all along this time now, I have made the effort to go to Maharishi in Tigoni to check on the Kenyan beauty. That's when I learned that she's Alihepa. She went abroad. So I begin a new life now on my own. I had this camera with me. Mnakumbuka hizo kamera za zamani? Uliweka batteries makaa, alafu na film 24 or 36 mm exposure. Nilianza kupiga picha huko kwa college, napigia wa students, napigia watu, alafu I bring them. So I would bring the photographs and sell them. So I began to realize that there's a very, very big opportunity here. Mnakumbuka Afya Center? Saa hizi ni Sacco building, something like that. Haile Selassie Avenue. That is where the studio I used to take the films to be developed. Nilianza na filamu moja per week, filamu mbili, tatu, ine, mara sita. Long behold, like I told you earlier, they begin to pick interest in me. Huyo boss wa hiyo studio aliniuliza, we unapigia hizi picha wapi? Where do you take these pictures from? Now at that time I was only taking many at the college. Na siku zingine kama weekend when we're not at the college institute, I take in the hostels around Pumwani. Pictures. Take a picture. Like I told you, in those days, many of the students in Kenya were, unajua system ya Kenya ni si kama ya Uganda. They had a different system that their education at 6th form, like A level, is very, very high, that many students end up there. Alafu kuendelea university, kuendelea kwa college ni si kama kawaida. It's not very much, but a lot of students come from up country to Nairobi to study. And usually at that time they would want to send back pictures of Nairobi. Kama we uko kwa Nairobi. So I would take them to Uhuru Park. We take pictures, or I would take them around the town, taking pictures kama sita, kama saba, kama nane. Alafu anakulipa pesa, then anatumia hizo picha kwa nyumbani. The business takes off. The business took off. It was like I couldn't believe how much I was doing well. And at that time I would attend my lectures in the morning, alafu mchana, afternoon I go to Uhuru Park. Nilianza kutembea na kamera yangu. Now it gets very interesting, because I used to frequent the studio taking the films. I could take films in the morning, those are taken overnight, then I would want them in the evening. Hii ilikuwa express service, alafu nilitumia na zingine normal service. There used to be a girl there. Alikuwa mtoto wa Mudosi, the boss of the photo studio, the shop. Alikuwa anatokea Kiambu. He was a very, very nice man, and he liked me. He got drawn towards me. Well, Muganda mzuri. And back in the day now, I used to dress very smart. Nilikuwa navaa vizuri, Because smart, Omothe. Now I had that name Omothe. let me tell you this, those who don't know. When I arrived in Maharishi on the 14th September, 94, that evening, I went and played the football match with the students at the football ground. There used to be a football ground next to the farm. There was one Asian student called Nishant. Yeah, Nishant, yeah. I don't know where he is now. Nishant. This Patrick who came today is playing football because I scored even some goals, So I made a very good impression on the students. Walikuwa wananipenda sana. But that was to come back to haunt me when I fell in love with the Kenyan beauty. You see how these things are. The very first day. And because most of the students were speaking Kikuyu, I could hear only Omode, Omode, Omode. So Omode means today. And then the name sticks on me, Patrick today. Patrick Omode. That is the name I adopt for my business. Omode Photography Services. Aterere. Tona nerosho, nikwedeta, ne. I learned Kikuyu. That is how I was so much absorbed in the Kenyan culture. And I stood out because I was always very funny. Kenyans are not really people who are very much like my character. So, every time I used to go to the shop, I find the girl there. Very beautiful. Alikuwa msichana mrembo sana. Sasa siku zingine tulikuwa tunazungumisha, makaa huko kwa duka, anatumianga mahindi, tunakula, tunakunywa chai, kila kitu. And that was going to change my life. That was going to change my life now again. Tulianza maneno ya mapenzi, si ndio? Mnajua hizi vitu. And then, on top of that now, because the photography business now ilikuwa imetumia grounds, tumekaa kwa ground. So I had all the hostels, I had the institute, and I had Uhuru Park. Even today when you go to Uhuru Park, sasa sijui hao watu uko wapa. There are a lot of people who copied me. They imitated my concept. By the time I left Kenya, Wakenya wengine walikuwa wanaanza kupiga picha huko kwa Uhuru Park. Because people would come to the park kama watu tourist, kama watu wanatoka nje, wanatoka wapi, walikuwa wanataka picha. And me, I had an express service. I could send the film there quickly, wali print, then narudisha hizo picha. So I had a way out of so many things. And that was the beginning of what would become a very, very successful venture. Very, very successful, to the point that I now move out of Pumwani Boys Hostel. I moved out because when I joined Pumwani Hostel, what I remember, I used to walk from the hostel from Isini, kwa natumia miguu, natembea via Gikomba. No, I walked through Gikomba Market up to the college for about 3-4 months. You have to humble yourself. You have to humble yourself. Even the hostel, it was a very, very exciting part and a very good learning process for me. There are people I would never have met. Our rafiki wangu wa KE. Every evening, everybody would come around me. I always had something to say. Muganda, tunazungumza. And some of them were seeing Ugandans for the first time. So, that is the experience. But when I left the hostel, nilianza kukaa Kasarani. I had a cousin brother of mine who was in Kasarani, USIU, with my intentions, because I had applied to USIU, and I was going to join USIU in 1996. Yes, September 1996, I was going to join USIU, and that is when I returned to Uganda. And I had so much money. But before I returned to Uganda, I went to Tanzania, Arusha. Au warafiki wangu wa Pumwani, Amadi, kazini, walikuwa wananipenda sana. Nataka tu we Muganda kuja huko kwa Arusha. And I went to visit them. I went to Arusha. I don't know that I'll ever see those friends of mine again. Tulikuwa kama wa bro. Amadi, kazini, na wawili huko wengine. I'm going all over the place here, but I have to tell you, because there's a story in Arusha. There is a very, very good love story I have in Arusha. Tulikuwao kwa Majengo. We were walking around in Majengo because I went for a weekend. I went on Thursday. Nilifika huko jioni. I took Traffic bus via Namanga border. Back then there was no communication, but I had given him a date that I will come on this date. Alinitumia plan yote. Sasa wewe ukipanda basi saa 8 inafikia huko Arusha bus station. So I arrived. He knew the bus that I was coming on, Amadi, and then I found him there waiting for me. Can you imagine? So we are in Arusha. I go to his place. They welcomed me very, 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 very well. The mom and the father, they had a very big business in Arusha. They had a very big store, like a shop. Kama wholesale, ilikuwa wholesale shop. Then, of course, I was on holiday with them. That is when I went I got almost bitten by a snake. Ngorongoro Creator. We go to Ngorongoro because they wanted to take me around to show me nice places in Arusha and everything. But before that, we were walking. Tulikuwa tunatembea huko kawaida tu kwa, I think the next day in Arusha. I meet this girl. Alikuwa pia yeye anatembea tu kawaida. Silianza kuongea naye. Before anything else, nilimwambia maneno. Let me tell you, back in those days, I don't know how things were done, but for me it was always very easy to chat up a woman, a girl. The girl alikuwa mrembo sana. Hamadi alikuwa ameshitua. Ulimwambia nini? Lakini wewe Muganda huko umetishanga. So to cut the story short, we fall in love. Mapenzi yenyewe. Sasa niwaambie, even before the end of my holiday, this part I can't give it to you. It is very, because she came over at Hamadi's place, and then she took me to her place. Tulifanya mapenzi. Seriously, let me tell you. Nilitomba huyo msichana bana. Kwa na zina mu Tanzania yali kumuchaga kama boli eni sana tuku. Omwata anjagadde. Tatu tembazadde be. Mnacheza na dunia bwana, mnacheza na dunia. Hamadi tankubya hadisi. Hamadi angambye sasa huyo tufanye nini? Katolo katinga mazo kusoma. Nali maze customs clearing course yange. Yes. Nga nina course na agent and export and international trade. Naye ng'eyo walingawo correspondence gye musobola okukola babaweereza ebintu okuva mu London eno, mukola exams bitebyo nabikomyawo, because now When I come from Arusha, I come back to Uganda, then I come back to Kenya, then I go back to Uganda. And that is it. That was the zigzag. But between those gaps, gaps weziri awo nti byonna ebyali bigenda maaso as being drawn back to Uganda. Kiraba. But if I had been on my own, 100% nandibadde Kenya. So I gave away the cameras. I remember. Yeah, because it was done. Chaichiwedeyo. And that was it. Now, if you ask me about the Kenyan beauty had left. All because of me wanting to go back to Uganda. If I had not returned to Uganda, there was no reason for all that to happen. Because the father, Mzee, alikuwa ametusetiwa. The thing was set up nicely. So, na mambo hii ya KE ya bibi wa picha nayo pia. Na mambo ya ule bibi Mtanzania na ni mambo pia. It's the same thing. Do you get me? It's the same thing. These situations all happen around September. Even when I went to America, the American beauty story, which I'll give you at some point this year. It was September when I left Kenya, when I left America to return back to UK. If you want to see drama, there was a drama at JFK International Airport. They had to announce on the intercom of the airport. She had traveled all the way because she knew my ticket when I was leaving. I was shocked. She was there. When are you going? You joke with women. It's a tough story. It's a very tough story. That is in 2001. If we are following the Regina story, because right now I'm just writing it, because it's gone into being autobiographic. I'm really digging deep into that whole experience of my first time to travel to America. And it's a lot there, people. Let me tell you, it is a lot. Not of heartbreak, but of time and place. Maybe tukakati fe bebagala obwagazi kamba buli ekintu kiri kimu zisagala nko mukazi bakazi bebanjagala. So kubanga I feel like I cheat myself or kugamba nti no I love you whatever that kind of kukwana. It's got to be perfect situation that draws in. You know, it's like planting a seed, you know. You might put fertilizers, you might put this, the seed will fail to grow. You get me? So that is how we are now about. Storage eziri nyingi. Storage za kegosi kakati ekinyambye nti I've compiled so much that mwana nga mulungi ono manya babata abalungi gusa abamanyi ampye eriiso n'alizaayo tunuulira kochi. Why do you look at me, man? Why is everybody looking at me? What the hell are you looking for? So I'm really good. You know, Wednesday, I'm supposed to give you my dad's story. Tata wange yalina background eri humble, n'akola n'agaggawala, ate n'ayagaliza abantu bangi nnyo, yazimba church 3. My dad is it a church? Neraba kakati time eyise nyingi nnyo naye nga legacy gyeri. I'm going to visit when I visit in 2030. Ekitagobwa, ekyebando ne Kamoocha, Mawanda Road. That is the last church he built, he funded. Bawa sente bazimbe. These things are done for a legacy. Legacy ya tata wange yamanyi nnyo lwakuba kati teyali documented bulungi. He was young. He passed away when he was just 40. Me, I'm 53 now. You know what I mean? So you can tell the space. So he must have done a lot in his 20s and his 30s. Kiraba nazimbira maama we ennyumba, yategula nazimbira maama both sides. Jajja Maria naye namuzimbira ennyumba, nazimbira mukazi we ennyumba, nazimbira ebintu. You do a lot because you are compensating for something. Okuze tomanyi where you belong. Enaba story ya 1995 ebyali bigenda mu maaso ekyebando byali bingi nnyo nyawo ekyebando ebyaliwo. Kakati mwe abatabimanya sijui my dad bamuzaala kuko naye muzeeyi musi yali amanyi bino ebintu bino. That's what I'm told. Oba nti tata wange baali bamukwese simanyi, bamukweka mu biminsani, mu baminsani. That is the reason. Because my grandmother was young, yali muto, yamuzaala mwana muto. Kakati ono muzeeyi musisi mbu agenda okukomawo okuva mu lutalo lwa Ssematalo ng'alina ssente, n'akola ki? Nayeegwaniza. Jjajja n'afuka, ekirala n'amuleeta n'amutwala n'amuteeka ekitagobwa. Then my dad came along. Oba how, oba when, I don't know, but manyi bino ebintu bibeera bizibu nnyo. Abakazi mugenda ne mukola ebintu bino ate ne bikomawo ne bibahontinga. Kubanga mu kufa kwa muzeeyi wange bwe basoma ekiraamo abataaliyo, ngenda bwa story eno properly. Konso Eruwe ne Diana Musoke yali ali ku Makerere University ng'akolera Eruwe and Co Advocates. Eruwe yajja n'agenda, kati ebyasigalawo nga bamaze omukolo ogw'okuntakako nga nze omusika. Diana Musoke n'asoma ekiraamo. Kakati baba basoma ekiraamo, jjajja n'anfuka. No yali akedde ku makya n'atuma Bakisuula agende amuggyira ebintu mu siiringi. Kakati mumanyi muzeeyi wange bwe yalwala mu ttaamu eyo esembayo eya senior 6 senior 3 1990 tetwamulabako muzeeyi wange nti ng'ali mu kyalo ewa jjajja. Ng'ali mu kyalo kubanga yafa mu September. Again September, you see. Yafa mu September. Netukomawo, nenkomawo okuva ku ssomero, netuziika, ne baabya olumbe. Obulumbe baalwabizaawo the next day. And Bakisuula akomyawo ebintu mu kisawo nga mulimu ekiraamo ekiwandiike nga my dad ng'awandiise ebyama byonna bye yakula amanyi ne bye baamulimba. Mwe muli ne certificate eyo eya Stephen Kasozi, amannya ge n'ekifaananyi ng'atudde ne jjajja n'anfuka ku kyaki nga mwana muto 1950 is it, nga baabikweka. Kakati mu kiraamo ekyo Musisi bw'akakasa nti omukazi yali amulimbye. Naye yali amulimbye atya? Unless there had been a gap in between. You know, these things, there's a lot of contradictions. Naye ate Musisi yali ayagadde nnyo taata wange nga mututte ng'omwana we, era mu baana bonna Musisi bwe yazaala taata wange yali successful, yagaggawala, yali omugezi, era ne bakola ebintu bingi nnyo, kwe kumuwa ettaka ly'Ekyebanda awo, okuli amayumba gonna ge baazimba taata wange yazimba, gonna gattegula, we twabeeranga Ekyebando eno wansi nga Ssebuliba yagulawo n'awaawo Kawuma mutabani we. So there's a very big interconnection. Story empanvu eno. Kakati chiche, what am I driving at? Nti it comes back to haunt. Nti Muzeeyi Musisi yaziikula taata wange, akyogere bwentyo, n'aleeta omulambo n'agusuula mu compound Ekyebando 1995. Taata wange bamuziika mu nnimiro ng'embwa. Nali Kenya. Story empanvu nnyo. So bino ebintu bino bwe mubiwulira ne mubitegeera. Story eno yalina mawulire ga Muno newspaper, kubanga yasasamaza omugagga Kyanda azaalukusiddwa whatever nga babiwandiika ebyo by'ekisirusiru. Are you with me, people? Mutegeera story gyamwa. So it all goes back and forth. Bye byatujja Ekyebando finale, bye bitujja Ekyebando, because my mom yali ayagadde Dream House yalimu bapangisa abazungu, Lincoln International School, kati jamuyita International School of Uganda. She had rented out the house. Ate abo abazungu zembaleeta baddukiranga wali ewaffe Mike Ezira Mike mumumanyiko birala nnyo, naye Ezira yali neiba waffe ng'alina omuzungu gw'ayagala. Omuzungu bamuyitanga Linda Omumerica. Ezira nga akola road work, yali muddusi. Ezira bye byembagamba. So kakati olumba olwo bwe bamala okusoma ekiraamo, Muzeeyi Musisi ne bayiwa emmere yonna eyali yefumbiddwa mu lumbe, buli kimu, nti omwana amuswaziza whatever. Byali biwanvu nnyo. Kati eyo ye fallout ejja mu famire yaffe, era webiggwa bwe biti maama wange n'aŋŋamba temugguliranga omuntu mu geeti. People abandoned us. Baatu abandoning abantu. So the last 10 years of my mom's life, 8 years, well, my dad dies in 90, my mom dies in 98. Twali ffekka nga ffe twefaako. Kye nabagamba nti abaana ba Africa Hall Makerere University abajjanja ba maama wange, of course nalinamu omuwala gwe nali nkwana, mwalimu omuwala, naye they are friends, you know what I mean? Be bajjanga awaka, ate sente nali nzirina, Katonda yali ampadde sente kegusa yali agaggawadde. So bingi nnyo tujja binywa tubimaleyo, n'ebirala bingi nnyo emboozi yange eri bwet. So naye nga ngenda kuddayo Ekyebando one day. Kati ennyumba gye mulabamu, we mulaba Holmes Darren Primary School, wonna waali waffe, tutwali ku eka nga 2 awo Ekyebando. Byonna ne bigenda. Maama wange yabi abandoning bwa abandonings. She was traumatized by that. Kakati what happened eventually, ne tuddamu ne tunoonya ekika kyaffe, sijui dolofu, sijui ebitabi n'ebintu ebyekisirusiru ebiswaza, you know, but we had to lay them to rest, to lay my dad to rest, and where my mom would be laid to rest as well. Era bye byamuviirako n'okufa. Eyo stroke gye yafuna, mini stroke. She was tortured. So abantu batwabandoninga, mikwano gya muzeeyi wange omukazi, very many good friends ab'amaanyi ennyo ne kati ne beyakolera ebintu ebirungi. Mukyala Kyanda nga yayagalizanga abantu, abamu baminisita, abamu bali mu gavumenti, abamu baani bonna abamu, because of that thing muzeeyi Musisi kye yakola. I'm not shy about it. Nkyogera abantu bakitegeera bakimanye, naye ffe ng'abaana twali tukulidde wamu. Abaana ba muzeeyi Musisi bonna twali tukulidde wamu bonna, naye it ripped us apart. Bayagalanga nnyo, bajjanga ewaffe, tumami akola cakes, Christmas, tulina enkoko batwala, babawayo enkoko bonna. Abamu bakulidde nawaffe waka, bingi nnyo waffe. My mom welcomed everybody awo ekyebanda awo. Naye bwe bamala okusomera, kubanga ekiramo kyalimu ki, let me tell you this, nti ebintu byonna byenkoze mu bulamu bwange mbirekera mukyala wange n'abaana be. 2 paragraphs. Naye kyali awandiise biri, it was handwritten. Tatange bye yawandiika ndowooza awo yabeerera omulwadde, n'awandiika biwanvu bwe biti. N'abisoma muzeeyi Musisi n'awunga. He was flabbergasted. Ne bayiwa emmere yonna gye baali bafumye mu lumbe, nakola scandal, bayomba bayagala bamwange ave mu nnyumba ya kalina. Batanse anti akati namwandu ennyumba gwe nagivaamu, nagamba nti ennyumba ngenda givaamu, ennyumba ngivaamu nti ennyumba yange nze nagyegulya. That is the first thing she bought herself, my mom. Ng'olwo ali mu Uganda Development Corporation, company secretary. Awo emulaga awo twali ery'ettaka nga ly'eggazette, naye because bwe baali mu gavumenti nga balina access n'oluguudo olugenda ewaffe Upper Manda Road, Lusenda. They should name that road Night Kyanda Road. Yes. Olwambuka ewaffe kuva ku poliisi bwe luti batandika ennyumba mu 1984, 85 netugi 85 njuga bakola pate y'amaanyi nnyo nga bamaze ogisereka. Gwe mwaka ogwo gavumenti bwekyuka ey'Obote, gwe mwaka ogwalimu omupiira gwa Express versus Villa, 23rd of November 1985. Gwe mwaka gwe mbagamba nti taata wange nga babiliyonia n'akola crossover n'ava mu KCC n'agenda mu Express ng'awagira Uncle Patrick. Gwalimu ebintu bingi nnyo, despite the fact nti waalingawo olutalo, era n'olutalo lwa Museveni olwo lwemulaba olwo lulimu ssente za muzeeyi wange empitirivu nnyo. Faamu yaffe ye Kamuli Kakiri, Kamuli Mixed Farm, baakolerangayo ebintu bingi nnyo. N'emikwano gwe Kayiira, nabiwuliranga nga babyogera awo, babirimu babizze. Olutalo lwali funded by the rich people. Ate sente zaali diddawa ezaali mu lutalo olwo. Kenya, contacts ezinga zonna, you had to know people. Taata nga yalina contacts nyingi nnyo Kenya. Banjonjo, baani bonna abasajja abagagga baali bonna mu East African gundi ebyo. So there was no way awo bonna balule contacts zaali za muzeeyi wange. Yalina abantu bangi nnyo byali amanyi, kubanga yali mu backseat, kyali mu byantala ebyo, yali businessman. Olwo ng'afunye contract ya Pepsi Cola, nabawa story ya Pepsi Cola eyo, 49%, 51% ebigundi Obote byali aleese yali agabira abantu sente abamukomyawo sijui ebitabo byonna ye babita biti ebyo partnership something byali mu Uganda development ebyo ebitabo sente zali nyingi nnyo but he had a regional distribution deal nga yine bamu anko kiriyo waabo bintu bingi nnyo byennyumya bingi tebisobola nakuggwayo but anyway people kambaleke mubeere bulungi I love you.